Hello and welcome to the Asian and Caucasian Show. Today I'm going to be going over 7 common scams to be aware of when traveling to Vietnam, so let's dive right in. Scam number 1 is fake taxi drivers. Some taxi drivers will take advantage of the fact that, well, you are new to a place by overcharging or taking longer routes. I actually had this happen to me twice. One time was in China and one time was in Moi Na, Vietnam. Both times was because I was in a rush, I was in an unfamiliar location, and well, I did not plan ahead. So what can you do to avoid this happening to you? Well, always use reputable taxi companies as well as checking the meter before you get in the car or before you get started. I actually have a website that is going to be appearing on the screen, and I will actually link it below, and it goes over some of the best brands and gives you their information depending on which city that you are in. Another way that I would recommend to avoid this, at least in the cities that offer it, is to download and use Grab, which is similar to Vietnam's version of Uber and Lyft, and generally speaking you can get a good approximation of how much something is going to cost right from your phone, and that way there's no real hidden charges. But either way you decide to go about it, you are going to need a phone and some internet, and that brings us to scam number 2, fake SIM cards. When buying a SIM card, make sure that it's from an official site or kiosk. A lot of the street vendors can sell you, well, either used or broken SIM cards, and that can be obviously an issue for tourists. What I generally recommend, and this is not necessarily something that a lot of YouTubers that are trying to just save you the most money and get you like saving pennies, is I generally recommend just going with one of the vendors out of the airport. They are going to be a little bit more expensive. That being said, if you're coming from a Western country, you're looking at spending maybe an extra $5 to $10. You know that you're getting at least a legitimate company in the airport, and that gives you access to your phone and some internet right from the start, so you will not be taken advantage of by maybe one of the taxis outside of the airport. Another thing that I would recommend, depending on the size of your group, for example, my wife and I actually did not get a SIM card. I just stayed with my own SIM card and used Wi-Fi because the Wi-Fi connection is really great, and we lived there for 7 months and I did not have an issue. The reason that I decided to do that is because a lot of the different banking information or even social media, they would want you to have a confirmation, so they'd want to text you to make sure. So since I had my phone settings where I could use Wi-Fi for calls, they were actually able to text me, and I was able to, well, log into the different accounts if there was ever any issue. But everybody's situation is different, and if you're traveling solo, then you probably will have to be switching back and forth between SIM cards. I've done that in the past and it works, but it is a bit of a headache, so I at least wanted to give you the other option. Moving on to scam number 3, which is currency confusion. So the Vietnamese currency can be rather confusing because the denominations of the notes are, well, a bit crazy. The highest note is a 500,000 dong note, which is roughly about 25-ish US dollars. Sometimes it can get confusing because, well, from a Western standpoint, we're not necessarily used to doing that type of math, even though technically it is as simple, but adding the zeros around, it's easy to either give too much or take too little. Now, there are some people, unfortunately, that can and will take advantage of the situation if you do not know what you're doing. So just always be aware and pay attention to, well, how much money you're giving out and how much money you are getting back. This next scam I will call the shoe repair or shoe polish scam. This actually almost happened to me, but I was in such a rush that I did not even give anybody the time of day, and well, I escaped it.
Great story, compelling and rich.
But generally speaking, what will happen is you will be walking down maybe Ho Chi Minh City, for example, and someone will come and say, hey, something's wrong with your shoe, or you need a shoe repair, or you need a shoe polish. They'll be very, very, very persistent, and a lot of times people do just give in and let their shoes be repaired. After the fact, they will try to charge you a very exorbitant amount of money, way more than what you would or should pay in Vietnam for a shoe repair. So just keep keep in mind if somebody is being extremely over the top or trying to get you to give them your shoes, then maybe you shouldn't do it. So scam number 5, I will call train trickery. So the actual website, the official booking website for the Vietnam Train Railway is dsvn.vn. The reason that I have to say it and just give it to you right there is because anytime that you Google search it or do stuff like that, there's a lot of different websites that pull up that look official and look legit, but most of the time are third-party vendors that basically purchase tickets, maybe even on demand, and they try to basically sell it to you at more of a premium price. We fell for this one time and went with a different company, and they did not give us all the options that we would hope for, and they actually charged us extra money. When we were on the train, we were able to talk to one of the workers on the train and get the legitimate actual website for the train. And once we did, the prices went way down and the options went way up. So I'm not saying that you can't find deals on those websites. Maybe you can, but from my experience, the actual official train website worked the best. This next scam I will call watch your weight. So in Vietnam, they are extremely strict on their carry-on weight policy. I know this isn't exactly 100% a full-on scam because, well, it is kind of written down, but it has cost me a lot of money. So most of the time in Western countries, or at least around the United States on the different airlines that I've been a part of, if you have a backpack or a handbag or things like that, usually they do not consider that into the weight of the carry-on items. It's usually if you have like a small carry-on suitcase before they actually weigh it. But with Vietnam, they will put basically your handbag, any kind of backpack, plus your carry-on, and it will have to strictly comply with the amount of weight. And if not, they will charge you a big fee at the airport. So if you think that your bags are going to cost too much money, then sometimes you can purchase it beforehand. For me, it's been extremely difficult because I do not want my backpack with my cameras to be well put underneath the plane. I just always worry about that happening and possibly losing a package, and I'm going somewhere to film somewhere, and that would be a total disaster. So a lot of times I have to pay for extra weight, but at least you're aware of the situation now, and maybe you will not have to. The final scam that you should be aware of is hotel fees. Now, I know that this technically isn't maybe considered 100% a scam. That being said, it 100% feels like it. So a lot of different websites, even legitimate websites, will often have a lot of different taxes and fees that you are not aware of when you are searching and booking for your hotel. Now, the website that I found in Vietnam that tends to be the most upfront about everything and usually does not have any kind of weird hidden fees is booking.com. Now, they're not always going to be the best price. So if you are a price hunter, then you can go for another company like, for example, Agoda in Vietnam is another very good website when it comes to the price, but they do have all those hidden fees. So my recommendation is, if you are the type of person who has plenty of time and likes to do the research and save all the money, then by all means try out multiple different websites and see where you land. If you're the type of person who doesn't necessarily care if you're 100% getting the best price, but you value the time and the lack of headache and you want to just figure it out right away, then booking.com is a great option, and a lot of times they have great pricing as well. Now, this is in no way sponsored. I wish it was sponsored. So if you work for booking.com, maybe call me. I would 100% vouch for you because I really enjoy your service. Overall though, try not to worry too much about different scams and things of that nature when traveling to Vietnam. Just enjoy your stay and know that you're probably going to have a great time, or hopefully you'll have a great time. I've been there like 8 or 9 times. We've lived there for over 7 months one time. So I have quite a bit of an experience out there, and generally speaking, very few times has anybody tried to take advantage of me or gotten away with scamming me. Most of the time, people are great. They have great intentions. I will say, be aware of people who are maybe going over the top, trying to help you when you're not even asking for it. That can kind of be a bit of a red flag. But most of the time, if you need help and you're seeking it out, people are willing to help you out and will be kind and honest about it. But drop in the comment section below and let me know, have you experienced any of these scams for yourself? Is there maybe some other scams that you've heard of or experienced that people should know about? Help us out and drop in the comment section below and let us all know. If you've liked this video and found it valuable, give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing. And until next time, peace.